The morning light crept across the cobblestones of Hollowmere. A fog lingered, clinging to the air like a half-remembered dream. The town had always been quiet, but that day it felt watchful. At the far end of the main street stood a small gallery. Its windows were dark, its sign faded, Eleanor Vance, Portraits and Commissions. Inside, brushes lay scattered across a paint-stained table. Canvases lined the walls, faces that seemed almost alive. Some smiled. Some looked terrified. And one had eyes that seemed to follow you wherever you stood. Eleanor Vance hadn't painted in 3 months. Not since her last commission, a portrait of a man named Dr. Felix Arden. He had vanished the day after she delivered it. The police had found his coat by the river, but no body. Since then, she hadn't been able to touch a brush. Until that morning. A letter had arrived. No return address. Just her name in perfect handwriting. Inside, a note, "Finish what you started." Eleanor sat at her easel, heart pounding. Her fingers trembled as she unfolded a fresh canvas. The smell of turpentine filled the air. She stared at the blank space before her. "Finish what you started," the words echoed in her mind. Who could have sent the letter? And what did it mean? She reached for her brush. The first stroke felt like a wound opening. Across town, Detective Adrian Cole was staring at a photograph. The missing man, Dr. Felix Arden, smiled back at him from the glossy paper. Arden had been a psychologist, known for his controversial research on fear. He believed that emotions could be trapped in objects. Residual empathy, he called it. Cole thought it was nonsense. But he couldn't explain why everyone who had been painted by Eleanor Vance seemed to vanish. 6 portraits. 6 disappearances. No bodies. That morning, a 7th letter had arrived at his desk. It was a photograph of Eleanor's gallery. On the back, a date. Tonight. Cole checked his gun. He didn't believe in ghosts. But Hollowmere had a way of making people doubt their own certainty. The mist rolled thicker as dusk settled. And the clock tower struck 6. He headed for the gallery. Inside, Eleanor was painting again. The brush moved as if guided by another hand. She didn't know what she was painting, only that she couldn't stop. The colors came alive, swirling into shadow and light. A man's face began to emerge. It wasn't Felix Arden. It was someone else. Someone she didn't recognize, yet. His eyes were deep, dark, and knowing. When she looked closer, she realized they looked almost alive. A knock at the door startled her. She turned, paint dripping from her brush. "Miss Vance." It was Detective Cole. "May I come in?" She hesitated, then nodded. He stepped into the gallery, scanning the room. His gaze landed on the unfinished canvas. "That's unsettling," he muttered. "It's not mine," she said. "At least, not entirely." Cole frowned. "What do you mean?" "I don't decide what I paint. I see it. You see it? In my dreams. Or when I close my eyes. The faces, they come." Cole crossed his arms. "Do you know any of them?" "Not until after," she whispered. "After what?" "After they disappear." The detective's pulse quickened. "So you admit there's a pattern?" "I admit there's a curse." "Miss Vance, curses don't exist." "Then explain him." She pointed to the portrait of Felix Arden. The detective turned, and froze. The painting had changed. The background, once grey, was now a storm of crimson and black. Felix's mouth had opened slightly, as if gasping. His hand, previously on his lap, was now pressed against the inside of the canvas. "That wasn't like that before," she said. Cole stepped closer, his breath shallow. This is impossible. They all change, Eleanor whispered. Every painting. Every one of them. When? When the person dies. Cole looked at her. So you think he's dead? I know he is. How? Because last night, he screamed. Cole's hand instinctively moved to his gun. What do you mean he screamed? From the painting. Miss Vance, I heard him, detective. Just before midnight. I heard his voice calling my name. The air seemed colder suddenly. Cole rubbed his arms. You're saying your paintings are alive? No, she whispered. I'm saying they remember. Remember what? Everything. She looked around at the walls, the dozens of faces staring down at her. They remember fear. Pain. Secrets. You're saying they're witnesses? Exactly. Cole sighed. I don't believe in ghosts, Miss Vance. You don't have to, she said. They believe in you. He turned to the painting again. Felix's eyes seemed to follow him. For a moment, he thought he saw something move behind the paint. Miss Vance. When did this start? The night my mother died. What happened? She was a painter too. But she stopped. Said her art was cursed. She told me never to paint people. And you didn't listen? I thought she was mad. Until the first portrait changed. Who was it? My sister. What happened to her? She drowned. The room fell silent. Outside, thunder rolled over the hills. Cole took a step back from the canvas. Miss Vance, I need you to stop painting. It's too late, she said softly. Why? Because the painting isn't finished. Then destroy it. You can't destroy memory. Watch me. Cole grabbed a nearby knife and slashed at the canvas. The blade tore through it, and a scream filled the room. It wasn't Eleanor's. The voice came from inside the painting. The lights flickered. The air turned freezing. The smell of smoke and iron filled his nose. Cole staggered back, horrified. The ripped canvas bled. Actual blood. Eleanor fell to her knees. You shouldn't have done that, she whispered. What is this? He's awake now. Who? Felix. The portraits on the walls began to tremble. One by one, their eyes opened. Faces twisted. The sound of whispering filled the room. Eleanor, the voices murmured. Eleanor, you promised. Cole aimed his gun. What the hell is happening? They are coming back, she said. From where? From the space between memory and death. That's insane. No, she whispered. That's art. The torn portrait of Felix began to reform. The slash mended itself like healing skin. His painted hand reached outward, pushing through the surface. The canvas stretched, bulged, and tore open. A real arm emerged. Cole fired. The bullet passed through, striking the wall. Run! Eleanor shouted. They bolted from the room as the portrait fully split. Something crawled out, pale, gasping, half shadow, half man. It was Felix Arden. You left me there, he rasped. Eleanor turned. You shouldn't exist. And yet, he whispered, smiling, here I am. Cole fired again. But the bullet did nothing. Felix moved closer, his body flickering like static. You painted my death, he hissed. You trapped me. You asked me to, she cried. Not like that. Lightning split the sky outside. The windows shattered. Felix reached for her throat. Cole tackled him, but fell through. The man was only half real. Felix turned his eyes toward the detective. You'll join me next. He lunged. Cole fired one last time. The bullet struck the gallery's gas lamp. The room erupted in fire. Flames roared up the walls. The portrait screamed. Eleanor grabbed a fallen cloth and threw it over the burning frame. "It won't hold," Cole shouted. "It doesn't need to." "What are you doing?" "Finishing what I started." She snatched her brush from the table and dipped it into the spilled paint. The colors mixed with blood and ash. She began to paint directly onto the wall. Felix roared. "You can't trap me again." "I can," she said. "Because this time, I'm painting myself with you." The flames danced around her. She drew two figures entwined, one of light, one of shadow. As she painted, her hand glowed. Her reflection shimmered in the nearest frame. "Eleanor, stop!" Cole yelled. "Go," she said softly. "Tell them we weren't mad." The fire swallowed her. Cole escaped into the street as the gallery collapsed. The sky turned orange with flame. He coughed, gasping, staring as the roof caved in. The paintings burned, one by one. And in the last burst of firelight, he saw two silhouettes in the window, holding each other. Then they vanished. The fire consumed everything. When it was over, the gallery was gone. Only smoke and ashes remained. And one unburned frame. Cole picked it up carefully. Inside, a new painting. Two figures, Eleanor and Felix, standing together in a field of light. Their faces were peaceful. "She did it," Cole whispered. Behind him, the morning bells rang. Holomere was silent once more. He turned to leave. But something made him stop. The painting blinked. He stared. The brushwork was exquisite, almost real. The figures smiled faintly. And behind them, in the far corner of the painted sky, a third figure was forming. Someone with a gun. Someone wearing his face. Cole dropped the frame. It didn't break. The colors shimmered. "No," he whispered. The air thickened. His reflection in the gallery window began to fade. His outline blurred, dissolving like smoke. He tried to run. But his feet sank into the ground. "Eleanor," he shouted. Her voice echoed faintly, "Art remembers, Adrian." His body froze mid-step. His skin cracked like paint. His eyes turned to glass. And then, he was gone. Days later, townsfolk found the ruins. Nothing but ashes, and a single intact painting. It showed three people, a woman, a man, and a detective. Their faces serene. Their eyes open. The painting was hung in the museum at Holomere. Tourists came to see it every summer. Some swore the eyes moved. Others heard faint whispers when the lights went out. One child claimed the man in the center winked at her. The curator laughed it off. "It's just a story," he said. "Art can't hurt you." But at night, when he locked the doors, he heard footsteps in the gallery. Slow. Careful. And sometimes, the faint sound of a brush on canvas. One evening, he found a new portrait leaning against the wall. A man in a curator's coat, holding a set of keys. His face was perfect, down to the smallest wrinkle. He hadn't posed for it. He turned the canvas over. On the back, in elegant handwriting, were 4 words, "Finish what you started." He dropped it, terrified. The lights flickered. The other painting seemed to lean closer. He heard Eleanor's voice, soft, distant. "Every memory has a frame." The curator screamed. Then silence. The next morning, a visitor found the gallery empty. Except for a new painting on the wall. It showed the curator, brush in hand, staring at the viewer. His eyes seemed alive. Beneath it, a plaque, The painter of shadows, artist unknown. The visitor shivered and walked away. Behind him, the faint sound of a brushstroke echoed. The paint shimmered wetly in the morning sun. And in the gallery's reflection, three faces smiled back.